Boom. And we are live.
We
What's
are
going on, buddy?
LIVE. We live or we live? What's
Yeah, we are live. We went live. So, hey, thanks for everybody joining us and watching. I'm here with my glad to call him my good friend, and
Yeah.
everybody knows him as Spideyjeu09. But here's Justin Underwood, everybody.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Hope you're all having a marvelous day.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things. So, I want to get to the fun stuff first, and then we'll get to the golden elephant in the room in a little bit. But
For sure.
I wanted to ask you first. I want to make a statement, and then secondly, ask you a few questions, and then we'll get to the other stuff. So first, I wanted to say, look, I started my YouTube channel on January 1 this year.
Wow.
And I started on that day on purpose for metrics and whatnot, and just to see how it goes. And I've been on, YouTube and in the kind of, streaming stratosphere as far as it goes before, but I'd never done it on my own channel like this, kind of showcasing a certain thing. I've always been a collector, either whether it's Star Wars action figures or comics or whatever it is, Marvel cards, sports cards, whatever. But Marvel cards really spoke to me, and you were a big part of that.
Awesome,
so,
man.
Yeah, you were a big inspiration in me really going, you know what, this really does speak to me more than I thought it did, because I've always liked Marvel. I've always liked, I had some 90s MU way back when. But when I decided to really go all in on Marvel, you were a big inspiration in that.
Oh, man. Well, that means a lot to me. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, 100%. So I just wanted to say thank you, number one. But then number two,
I appreciate
which makes it even more special.
Really do.
Yeah, it makes it even more special that we're about to embark on a little trip.
We are. Whoa. So yeah, this happened quick. Our friendship, like, boom, it blossomed quickly, right? It's funny how, kind of things align. We're both in the same profession. We both love Marvel cards.
Right.
And now we're both going to be in Atlanta in the same booth together. So how about
It's
that?
going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So you can't see it, but just outside of my pictures, my bags they're not packed yet, but I've got my bags ready to go.
Oh, man.
But the only thing I have left to do is some laundry and packing tomorrow. What's that?
So I will not be ready until Thursday afternoon. I leave at 5:30, and that's about when I'll be ready.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get there a little early. I'll be there on Thursday, and they open up our vendor to vendors on 5 p.m. on Thursday for us to get in there and do some early setup stuff. I want to check that we've got our internet and our electricity and that good stuff that we ordered, and because we've got some really cool stuff planned. Some stuff I'm not going to give away. Maybe we'll talk about some other stuff. And do you have any plans that you want to announce of stuff you might be doing at the booth?
I tell you, well, I will have cards. I will have cards for show and tell and cards for sale. I think it's important for this hobby to continue to grow that they must have access to cards. It's the oxygen, right, that gives what we, enjoy its life. And so if people don't have access to cards, they'll find something else to give their time and energy to. And so I think it's important that we make cards available for sale. And so I'd certainly want to be a part of that solution in Atlanta.
Yeah. It's something else that I've had a discussion with some other the guys that are going to be there, friends of ours that have booths, and I wanted to kind of, and I know you haven't been had booths at a lot of shows. I know you set up a little bit in Dallas with the Golden booth and stuff.
That was that was not planned. It just worked out that way.
I wanted to get your opinion on something, because it's there's a fair argument for both sides. I'm just curious what you think.
Okay.
So when you have all these cards in the case, and I know everything's not for sale, the stuff that you would be willing to move, do you put a price tag on it, or you want to have a conversation with the person, or how do you want that to go down?
I think it's really important for me to be very consistent in my pricing, no matter who comes up. And I plan to have a price sheet in my pocket at all times. And I don't want to have to remember that I told so-and-so the card is this, and they say, hey, I'm going to leave and come back, and then I don't remember what I told them.
Right.
I don't want to find myself in that position. I don't want to have to do the mental gymnastics to do that. So for me personally, I'm just going to make a list. I'm going into the weekend with my price. Any adjustment to that may be predicated just on how people respond, and maybe somebody has the same card at the show for a different price or something like that. I'll be willing to adjust as needed, but for the most part, I want to have everything pre-priced before I get there.
Yeah, and I'm similar. I have I made a spreadsheet, and the thing is, with pricing changing so quickly, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute. With pricing so quickly on Marvel stuff, I mean, I priced everything when I put them all in my case and put them in, nice mags and team bags and stuff. I've got everything really nicely, so it's going to present nice. But when I priced that stuff, it was probably 4 or 5 days ago, and there's been a lot that's happened. So
well, I think it's important
repricing stuff and on my spreadsheet before I go.
Oh yeah, to double check it. And I think it's important that that we the day of basically for our higher end cards know what people are going to search and see what comps they're looking at. Doesn't mean you have to sell for that. You can put whatever price you want to, but I think it's important to know what they're looking at and where they're going to be coming from.
Right. Because what I've seen, I mean, I've been to quite a few shows and I've set up at a few, but with sports, it's really at shows people trying to say, okay, well, this is what the last one sold for. They want to feel like they're getting a deal, so maybe they'll offer you 80% of whatever that comparable is. And Marvel, it just doesn't work that way. At least it hasn't been. It's been, well, you know what? I'll give you a deal. I'll give you 20% above that last comp.
Well, I think it's going to depend on where the seller is at. I think quite a few Marvel guys still are not in the mode of like really selling, like in it to sell. I guess the proper term is a flipper in mentality type situation. I think most Marvel card collectors, and I can't speak for all of them, they're in a mode of curating, which is how can I take what I have and use it to get to where I want to be via a sale or via a trade. And it's more of that curating process, which this is where I struggle, is somebody's going to want to be willing to pay me what is the current market for a card, and I'm still not going to want to sell it. You see what I'm saying? And it's just because I either know how hard it is to get the card, or I have a lot of joy in the way that I did obtain it, or whatever. Oh, we got the card boss in. We're legit now, Marvel.
What's up, card boss?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's our buddy.
And
he can speak to this.
He's good education on that stuff too.
Yeah, he certainly can speak to it. I saw that he posted a new video that I think it posted today about him partying with some cards, and that's not always easy to do, and we'll get to some of that here in a little bit, I think.
Well, that's actually a good segue into kind of where I wanted to go, because we saw his video today, he sold a bunch of blue PMGs that he had from the 13 set. He was thinking about putting that set together, but it just gotten to be now where cards are, especially the big boys in that set, blue Spider-Man, blue Wolverine, those type of cards, they get to where it's really hard to do unless you had those at a low cost basis going in early. And there was about 25 or so yesterday golden auctions that were all blue and red 2013 PMGs. And we were watching those pretty intently last night, and every single one of those went for very strong sales. There wasn't a single one that you were like, wow, that didn't sell for what I thought it was. Like for instance, there was a Daredevil and it was only at like $800, and I'm like, well, that's the last one sold for 5,100. I was like, I'm going to put $1,000 bid in there just in case maybe somebody's sleeping on this. And with 30 seconds left, it goes to 5,100, and it's sold at 5,100. I said, well, I had to high bid for about 30 minutes. So, but those strong sales, because I know people are saying with stuff coming into the market, more product coming into the market, is that going to drive prices down? And what I've been seeing is that's not the case. It's just been okay, good. There's this appetite for it, and the supply still isn't there. I mean, because like we're talking about with those blues, there's only 50 of them in the world of each one.
Right.
So there's got to be 50 people that want that card. I would imagine.
Yeah, I know 50
I know
people.
about 20 of them right
Yeah.
now.
You know, it, who knows exactly, how the future is going to lay out and roll out. And my focus is on the hobby just growing from a collector standpoint, and from, people who are attracted to Marvel cards and want to learn about it and understand it. And there's significant levels of that. The thing that's fun to talk about is the PMGs and the high sales, right? And I totally get it. I live in that world, but there's still so much fun here at these other levels in Marvel cards, in terms of what you can enjoy from the art and the characters and even the chase, being there. And so, I get DMs about, this high end card, that high end card, and then I get DMs about, hey, this is one I got today. I thought was really interesting. Was, hey, are you watching the sales of the Moon Knight from the 2016 Marvel Masterpieces, numbered out of 1999, almost 2000? I'm like, no, tell me about it. And sure enough, those cards have went from $10 to $50, right? And not that that's the best gauge of everything, but it is an important gauge. And that person's having fun at that level. You see what I'm saying? And to me, that's really cool.
Yep. Well, and that's kind of the big thing about, this show that's coming is going to be obviously a lot of fun for us.
Mm-hmm.
But what and I've told you this, we've had this discussion. I had a conversation with the show promoter. I said, look, this is going to be the first time that this many Marvel cards have been under one roof in history, ever. And it's not all going to be DMGs.
No.
So that's the thing that really, I think this show, everybody thinks, we're going to sell out everything we own, and it's really not the case. It's going to really be, it's really for us and for me, and I know you, because we think alike in this type of thing, is that it's going to really be about education and exposure. So the more that people get exposed to, oh wow, there's really cool stuff, it's not a PMG, that's when the hobby really grows. And you're sitting here talking about Masterpiece, and we know Masterpieces is, if not the set, it's real close. And then between 2016 with Jusco, and 18 with Simone Bianchi, and 20 now with Palumbo. I mean, these are just great art pieces and amazing sets. And those rarer cards in those sets, and heck, even the base cards, they climb because the rarity is built into the printing.
That was probably the coolest thing from the Dallas Card Show, and you've heard me say it, but having a case of just about everything to some degree that people want to see from a PMG standpoint, including a 2013 Flair Retro Spider-Man. The Battle Spectre gem from 2016 is what caught the non-Marvel card collector's eye when they first looked in the case, because it has the art and it still has that foiling and that quality to it. But that, there's sets beyond that. I mean, I love that Gingy has been posting the 75th anniversary cards, and people who are very deep into PMGs watching them say, look how beautiful this is. I had no idea. And it's just, Marvel card is littered with that kind of stuff.
Well, and to that point, you're talking about Battle Spectra gems without it even being a gem. Just the Battle Spectra.
The art's still there. Look, I need the Carnage versus Venom, and it's not even popping up on eBay, and there's a lot of them.
Right.
So, speaking of non-PMGs, since we just did that,
these what do you get there? Oh, nice.
It's the auto. It just came in today.
Oh, it's auto. I see it now. I could see. Oh, dude, that's great.
Was literally looking at it as I was coming into this live, so I was very happy to have that.
That's really cool. So as all these PMGs go, and as Card Boss was saying, in his video, that it's hard to even attain getting that set because of prices, and we know the blue Spider-Man that has been sold for $132,000, but today Golden Auction made an announcement. It is this one.
Yeah, I might know a little bit about that.
That is a record sale, and it is the green. Now, you know a lot about this card, and I don't. And I think somewhere this is a graded card, correct?
No, that's raw. That is a raw sale. It has been graded since the sale. Yes.
Yeah. But I see, obviously they cut it off if it is in a slab. I couldn't tell if it was graded, um, but that's big. So then that's the first kind of one of the biggies that we've seen that wasn't red or blue.
So yeah, let me give you some background here on what there's some stuff that's obviously in confidence. This was a private sale. I will not be disclosing who the parties were out of respect to them. The seller,
Yep.
the seller will make himself. I mean, the buyer will make himself known eventually. But um, as you can imagine, just in the position that I have somehow found myself in, people, show me stuff, right? And make known, what they have available that could be purchased, and people who are looking for things make known what they're looking for. And so I've just found myself, and including my buddy Norrin Rad, Sketch Card Hive, have found ourselves in some positions where we brokered some really high end stuff. And the green 2013 Spidey is really the pinnacle of that, maybe outside of the gold 1 of 1 Spideys. And so, with that being said, we finally were able to put this deal together. I guess it's probably been a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now, maybe.
Mm-hmm. So that's epic. And it's another record sale because people keep asking the question, hey, when's going to top out? When's it going to top out? And
Yeah, and look, let me just tell you, not an easy deal to put together. Because number one, you have to find someone who's even willing to be in the conversation.
right.
There's a tremendous amount of fear. Can you put up Card Boss's last comment?
Say that again. Oh yeah.
Can you put up Card Boss's last comment? The green Spidey, despite it being crazy at 255, is actually underpriced. So to his point, if you have one of these cards, your timing's everything, right? It's like people, naturally don't want to miss out, and they want to sell at the right time. Is it now? Is it later? Is this a future? We saw the Kobe Bryant green PMG go for $2 million. Can Spidey do that one day, kind of thing? And so to even get somebody to be in the conversation, and then to get them to actually agree to make that transaction, to put all that together is not easy. But I think that was a wonderful price for a raw card for both parties that goes both ways. I love the concept of fair. That's where if you have a balance scale, the scale is equal on both sides. It's not off either way. I feel like this price represents that. The card has since been graded, and it's on the pop report, PSA 9.
So you got a 9?
Yes.
Wow. So that's
massive.
That was my next. That's what I wanted those. So that then raises value more, which is amazing. So all right, that's going to bring me to our golden elephant in the room.
Golden elephant
that we wanted to talk about, and that was,
hey, you're going to get to hang out. You're going to get to hang out with the gold 1 of 1 this weekend. I'm gonna have it with me.
I know. Well, we're going to talk about that. So, if anybody doesn't know, Mr. Spideyjeu09 here sold, and I got to get this from you, but a position of his gold. He's the owner of the gold 1 of 1 Spider-Man, and it wasn't the 2013, right? It was the
well, so 2013 has no golds, only 2015 and 2017. The 2015 gold Spider-Man was owned by our good friend Cards and Metal Ian Fisher, who sold it in the golden auction and went for $28,000, and that was graded at a BGS 9. Okay, and I acquired the gold 1 of 1 raw shortly after that from 2017, and then fast forward into the future, Marvel Cards does its thing, just massive, right? And I mean, look, I got.
Let me stop you for 1 second because I want you to continue. But when you got that card, did people look at you like you were crazy?
I'm not sure I quite understand the question. I think people
when you acquired that gold 101, because I know it wasn't cheap. Did people think what's he doing buying a card?
My wife and kids. Yeah, you mean outside of the hobby? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Basically, let me tell you how this went. And by the way, if anybody wants to see me get the gold one of one and interview the person that sold it to me, it is on Instagram. You can watch it in my stories. It's Frank. He's a wonderful guy. We keep in contact to this day. And um, so he reaches out to me and basically says, hey, I know what happened at Golden, and I know I can sell this to somebody else, but I want you to have it. My wife and I want you to have it. Okay. So that then leads me to my wife, who I have to convince to allow me to take this, large sum of money and give it to her, which is a 2x3 piece of cardboard. Right. My wife is not
Right.
into Marvel. She actually she's over Marvel. Okay. We got 2 rooms full of Marvel stuff. I've got plenty. She lets me know that all the time. And so I said, hey, look, this is as much as I can pay and still be married. Like, that's where I'm at. that's how the negotiations went. And and it worked out. It worked out. The card came to me, and if I'm like just walking in total transparency here, I don't think I understood what I had. My buddy Norrin tried to help me understand it, but I wasn't around in 2013. I wasn't around in 2015. I wasn't around in 2017. And what's important for people to remember, when I started buying Marvel masterpieces on ePack in 2021, 2017 Spider-Man was still sitting there. Like, I could have bought it leading up to the release of 2020 Marvel masterpieces, and I was like, well, if they didn't want it, I'm a save for Marvel masterpieces, right? And so, this is all building up. Well, fast forward into the end of 2021, and you start getting offers that are pretty substantial, right? And then they lead into the quote life-changing money. And then again, you have this situation where when I've been married 20 years this year, praise the Lord, with my wife 23 years, and I'm 38 years old. So do the math. And when somebody starts offering you money, into the 6+ figures, I have to tell my wife, hey, I'm getting these offers. And then again, the same crazy look I got for buying the card, you get for, you didn't say yes. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And at that point, there's and I will say this is not true for everybody, because everybody has their own circumstances. And I have a mantra. One of the mantras I live by is never spend another man's money. Just don't. It's just not my job. It's not for me to say what someone should do or shouldn't do. Right? It's egotistical and silly. But with that being said, at some point there's a bit of a moral obligation when you paid this and you can make this.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And especially when you have, a family to take care of, and I take a lot of pride in taking care of my girls. But I still didn't want to sell the gold one of one. Like, even though that was true, even though the number was massive, it's still not something that I wanted to do. And so I wanted to be creative with it. I was like, how can I honor my wife, honor my family, honor this situation, and at the same time be connected with the card? And to me, that was to retain ownership in it. And with that, that's what I negotiated. So it is now going to be inside of a collection that is going to end up being a master PMG set. Okay. Like, master PMG set. We'll have some of it with us in Atlanta, but we're talking about a 2017 set that's full purple, full green, full blue, full red, full bronze, with the gold one of one as the crown jewel of that set.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's really cool.
That's gonna be fun stuff. So I've got a few questions from people outside of what we're doing right now. But as far as, so do you just straight sell the card? Is it a partnership? Like, how does that work?
Well, so a partnership would probably be a better term, but it's really a percentage of ownership is really all it is. Partnership implies like shared responsibility, and if you think of it as a business, like directing the future of and decision making of. I still have ownership in the card. I get to enjoy it as an owner of the card. I get to have it with me at times when I want to, but at the same time, it belongs in that larger collection. And whatever card the future has, especially if it sells for X number of dollars in the future, I still get to enjoy that as well.
Good. Right. Cool. So we're going to see that card in Atlanta, which is going to be, I'm going to be nervous even standing next to it, but that's all.
It's going to be fun.
We're going to have like every camera in all of Atlanta will be at our booth at some point in time, I'm sure.
Right.
which is going to be pretty exciting. What are your goals really for the show and for, exposing that card to the public, and so what are you kind of hoping to get out of the weekend?
Selfishly, for me, it's important for me to be connected to the card. That's really what I want. I want to be able to enjoy it and hold it and see it and watch people's reaction. That's important to me. That was part of my negotiations. And what's up, Charles? There's Frank there. Okay, so guys, here's my guy. This is the guy who sold me the gold 1 of 1, my buddy Frank. And
this is the guy that what your audio broke up on me. I'm sorry.
Frank is the original owner of the gold 1 of 1. He's the one who sold it to me.
Oh, right. Cool. That's why I threw him out there. That's what I thought you said.
Yeah, that's right.
But Frank is an awesome dude. I've done a deal with Frankie as well.
You did. You did. You got an amazing card from him.
Yeah, I did. Which is one of my favorite cards that I have right now.
Mm-hmm.
So Jordan's talking about picking up some PMGs, and that's been a big thing lately. And then, as we were talking about that, all these different PMGs and the blues and the bronzes have become a big deal lately, because I think what has happened with pricing in blues and even reds, now people are starting to go, okay, that's starting to get out of hand. And I think a lot of people are moving to the bronzes. Do you see that?
I haven't been watching it that much. If I'm again, being really transparent here, for the last 2 weeks, I've been working on things that are not like in eBay or in Golden or in, I've never been a part of anything with PWSCC or Probstein or anything like that. So I don't even know about those guys. And,
right.
And then, I took a little sabbatical, a retreat Friday through Monday, where I turned everything off, all social media. I had no internet, nothing. And today's actually the first day I'm back.
I left you alone. I only sent you one message, and that wasn't until Monday.
Okay. You're very kind. And it was good. It was some needed time, because I've obviously been pretty plugged in, especially from a social media standpoint now for almost a year. And I wanted to have that little recharge before Atlanta.
Yeah, that's good. Mm-hmm. And then I think you said you're coming in on Friday, right?
Friday, yeah. So we're gonna leave Thursday, spend a night. It's a 7-hour drive. We're gonna spend the night about halfway, and wake up that morning and drive in before lunch.
Oh, okay, cool. So my plan for anybody that's going to be near the show is I get in on Thursday. I will go to the early vendor setup Thursday night, and then official vendor setup starts Friday at like 8 a.m. And then I think VIPs start to be able to get in at like noon, and then we're off and running from there. So
noon on Thursday?
On Friday. So no, Friday. So Friday morning is the full vendor setup. You really want to be set up before noon, because that's when VIPs get to enter. And then I think full show is at 1.
I think I can be there by 10:30. Pretty easy. And that should give me time.
Okay, all right, you'll be good then. Yeah, so you'll be good, because I'll have everything else set up.
Yeah.
But that's cool. So let me see if we got any questions from the peeps in the
yeah, while you're looking at that, we're hoping to have a Marvel card panel on Saturday night with me, Nornrad, Sketch Card Hive, the Great Curator, and Neo. So Sports Card Investor is supposed to be putting that up.
Yeah. I put that schedule up with the different panels in our chat, but
did they have us listed?
They had panels. They didn't list who was on each panel.
Because I have not been told a time yet. I was just told they were working on it.
I'll forward it to you when we get off. But yeah, just a quick question, which is kind of actually interesting, because it's something that I've been into a little bit, is these pattern PNGs. And I want to say one thing. There is a kind of a problem with, be really careful when buying these, because and we'll talk, and I'll let Justin talk to the rarity, but as far as when you're buying them, especially on like an eBay, there's been a lot of people that have been taking a picture of the base silver and saying that it was patterned, or they'll spell pattern wrong, or they'll just say pattern, trying to be cute, and it's not. And people have been smart enough to, like, I've seen them selling for like $25, and if it was the actual patterned achievement card, it wouldn't be. But so be careful when you're buying those. But as far as the actual achievement cards, which I don't have any cards, they're all in my case. I know you know very well. And what do you want to speak to the rarity a little bit on those pattern achievement cards?
Yeah, so let me back up a little bit. So summer of last year, I have some people reach out to me that I know and trust in the hobby, and they said, "Hey, you need to be paying attention to patterns from 2017." I'm like, "Why is that?" They said, "Well, probably less than 100 of them, and I don't think people realize how important they are and how difficult they were to make from an achievement standpoint." And so at that point, I began buying the ones that I bought, and I didn't go after them really hard. I would have loved to have actually completed a full set, but that kind of is what it is. But the pattern achievement has a rainbow foil to it, as opposed to the flat, kind of muted base card. And when you think about the rarity, they're actually more rare than the bronze. Now, they don't say PMG, but they're gorgeous. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous with the rainbow foiling. And what's fascinating to me, and I'm looking forward to the day where we don't say sports card guy and Marvel card guy. Like, we just realize that we're card collectors. We just have different tastes. Or some of us have eclectic and do both. But what I've noticed is, for the people coming into the hobby that have a background in sports, they tend to have an appreciation for achievements for whatever reason. Was talking to someone today who completed a full X-Men Metal Black achievement, low and high. We're talking about stupid hard. Spent an enormous amount of money, like close to six figures, to be able to do it. But they have a high appreciation for the achievement stuff. And so you've seen with Marvel cards, and this caught me off guard, to be honest with you, we've seen achievement cards jump quite a few special inserts and cards and number cards. Recently, we've seen even the base Spider-Man achievement card is done up to $1,200. I think it's leveled off back down to about $800, but that card was available to me for $300 for months, and I passed it.
Right. So, and you helped me get a few of those myself, and I've been on some of the masterpieces achievement cards.
I love this question, by the way, from Jordan.
Foil achievement. But this is a funny question from Jordan. This is something that Justin and I have talked about, saying, are we still early on Marvel cards, or are we just saying that to feel better? That's goodness. That's a to be determined. That's a TBD. But if you, in the grand scheme of things, and then I'll let you answer this, Justin, but in the grand scheme of things, to me, because I had somewhat of a sports card background, I always will go back and look at how many of these cards were printed. And when you think about that versus, that $1 million Kobe card, I mean, and I don't know anything about it, but I mean, but there's other cards that are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's a ton of them printed. And that's the kind of the cool thing about Marvel, is that especially the PMGs and stuff like that I'm talking about, the rarity is, number one, it's built in from the manufacturing side, and two, if you not only got a serial numbered card that's only number to 100, let's use the Reds for example, and then you get graded and you get a really good grade, now how rare is it? So, but why don't you talk about are we early or not?
Well, I feel compelled to talk about the Kobe card. I'm a huge Kobe fan. I don't collect sports cards. I do have a few Kobe rookies from my childhood when he was a rookie. I mean, that was a green PMG from 96, 97. It was graded a BGS 8.5. That card that year is really hard to get in a high grade. It's his rookie card, and his legacy is locked in. And so to me, that speaks very strongly to why that's $2 million, and rightly so. I don't think that number surprises anybody. But you know, with Marvel cards, the are we early question? Well, the people that were in it early were in it in 2012. Okay, that was early. Or the people who never
Right.
left from the 90s into the 2000s somehow stayed in it, right? And see you, card boss, see bud. And to me, that's early. All right. In a sense, I was late coming in February of 2021, you know, in that sense. But if the question is really meant to, has the hobby matured? Marvel cards? No, I was arguing this last year. You can go back to the Pack Fresh podcast. I was arguing that, hey, it's time for Marvel to grow up. Like, it's been this kid thing, like just a bunch of people who just enjoy comics and got hooked to cards instead of comics, you know, kind of thing. But it was a secret little hidden community to some degree, not totally, but to some degree. And what exposure has done is it's kind of forced it out the nest, so to speak. And now it's time for Marvel to learn to fly on its own, right?
Right.
And so to me, that's what's happening. And part of a mature card hobby would include a significant graded population and some, you know, I think of the best way to say this, but you got to have some history behind it. And we don't have those, in my opinion. Even from a 90s card standpoint, that's nothing compared to the lineage of sports cards or even other non-sports cards, like Star Wars goes into the late 70s, early 80s. And so to me, a significant graded population is part of what it's going to mean to be matured. So if you're thinking about that end of things, yes, it's still early because a very small percentage of Marvel cards are graded.
Right. And that's kind of where I was coming from, because you know I always come back to this one card that I bought, which was the Patrick Mahomes rookie.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a really good deal on it. And I'm still very, you know, it'll be in my case in Atlanta, and I'm doing very well with that card. I will be happy to sell it if somebody offers me the right price. But when I looked at the pop count when I was purchasing that card, the pop count was 532.
And you were excited.
No, I'm buying it. And the pop count was 532. And for me, I was just like, man, that seems like that's a lot. But I, you know, did my research and I've looked at all the, you know, comparables, and I know enough about football to know that I was buying at a low because of, you know, recent performance, and he had some turnover issues. And I was like, you know what, I'm never going to find this card this cheap again. Gotcha. You know, unless something catastrophic happens, you're just not going to. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, it's, you know, I'm up probably 50% on that card, and that's great. And it's still going to go. I mean, the guy wins more Super Bowls. I mean, who knows where that card goes, and if he's the next Tom Brady, who knows? But I just know that when I looked at that pop count, I was like, wow, that's a lot. But so that's where when I go and then I go, okay, well, of all of the graded cards that I have, the biggest one that I have is a pop 2. And Marvel, I have a pop 2 Magneto PMG because it's graded. And that's just outstanding. And so, and that's kind of why a lot of them.
And that might be pop 2 SGC. It's probably a pop 1 PSA.
No, I know the person that has the other one.
Okay.
So, you know, but the reason a lot of the Marvel community has kind of put off grading, number one, there is an expense there, but number two, it wasn't really that necessary because the rarity was built into the numbering of the cards.
Well, look at
in a lot of cases.
Look at the recent sale of the green 2013 Spidey, $255,000 raw.
Right.
I mean,
that was raw.
I don't know sports cards. There's probably a short list of sports cards that would do that raw. I mean,
right. Oh yeah, forget it. And but again, there's 10 of that card in the world.
No, there's not. In theory, there's at least 10. At least 10.
Right.
But I doubt that that we could put our hands on 10. We might be able to.
Well, you think because A, some aren't open, and B, some are just in private collections, never to be seen again?
I mean, who knows? It's just the idea that that the total number of anything is out there outside of your low ones and fives is just tough. I mean, I know, let's just say I know where half of them are, but I don't know where the other half are.
Right. I mean, so that's kind of the, but now, people are starting to realize as all these sales are being more and more public, and the majority of the big sales are great. Now, last night, those 25 or however 30, however many there were, they were protein auctions, I think, on eBay. Most of those were not graded; they were raw. And that Daredevil that I was looking at, I could even see in the pictures that it had condition issues, significant condition issues on the back side of the card.
Holy smokes!
It's $5,100, and there was you could pick out. There were good pictures. There was, I don't know if they were scanned or what, but you could see the detail if there's white in the corner, if there's a scratch mark or whatever. So you could kind of tell, but it obviously, with those being so condition sensitive, I think people ignore the conditions sometimes unless it's something that's just awful. But still, the rarity is there, so that people are still going to buy it.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. I agree.
So where do you think we go from here, Justin?
Well, that's a really good question. I think the grassroots movement at these card shows is really important. Instagram's cool, YouTube's cool. That's fun. But I think actually getting to see cards in hand and be with people in a pretty special way is important. I got to glimpse that at Dallas, but me and the Great Curator were about the only guys with Marvel cards significantly there that were set up. But we're talking about 8, 10, 12 guys set up that we know of in Atlanta. Right. And it's a culture collision. So there's going to be there's going to be a ton of sports cards. It's probably going to be the number one thing, but there's going to be Marvel fans there in general who likely have not seen many Marvel cards. So I'm very excited about what that's going to do. I think that, again, I'm using the term grassroots movement on purpose because this is like boots on the ground type thing. I think that's important for the future of the hobby moving forward. Yeah, Charles says, I might actually have your shirt tomorrow, so I'm excited about that too.
We got you covered.
We're gonna have, I think, I can't remember the count, but like 8 Marvel card content creators there creating content while they're there. That's going to be hitting the different platforms. I think that's important.
You and I both have dedicated film crews.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, reach that level, huh? And I mean, this is an important weekend.
Right.
What do I think would be the results of it? I don't know. But I can tell you, I felt the wave of the Dallas card show, and there's only 2 content creators there. And so I'm really interested to see how this one's going to go.
Yeah. I mean, I joked early on, I said, there's going to be more cameras in there than cards, but there's going to be so many. I mean, obviously not just us, but every sports content creator that I know is going to be there. And there's going to be a lot of cameras and microphones walking around. That's for sure. I'm going to keep count how many people come ask to bum our electric, because I guarantee you we're going to be one of the few booths with electric.
Right. Yeah. Bryce talks about trades.
I offered it to everybody I know. I said, here's the sheet, here's the sign up, here's the thing.
They got to do
electric. And so we'll see.
But Bryce talks about trading. That's one thing I'm really interested in. So at the Dallas card show, I was able to trade with Dan, the Great Curator, and I traded him a bronze Iron Man PMG, which is beautiful. I think he got a PSA 8 on it, and $3,350 for 2 red Black Widows PSA 9s and a Wolverine Jambalaya PSA 8. And I've already sold one of the Black Widows for $3,000. And so I'm like really close to being even there already, and still have 2 huge cards left. The 2 of the better of the 3, I think, that I have left, to be honest with you.
Well, that was the funny thing about that trade, and really in any trade or sale, over a month ago, there nobody's a loser. You know what I mean? Because
I mean, $3,350 with
I
inflation
mean,
is
those
actually worth less right now.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
$3,350 is worth less with inflation right now.
Right. Right. Price
I'm
went
just
up.
messing.
And that's kind of the joke that I was making earlier about when people are starting to look at comps. You know, it's okay. That was the last comp. Add 20% to it, because that's really what the next sale, as far as Marvel stuff, has been going the way it's been going.
Yeah.
When was that? When was that? You go. When was that last comp? It was 3 weeks ago. Okay, so that means it's up 40%.
Right.
I mean, I'm joking, but and we have seen, and Neo did a really good video on how it's kind of at least leveled somewhat,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
good, because you know it all can't just go up like forever
well,
straight
look,
up.
I am as a buyer and as a seller, you know, if I'm trying to move a card, you know,
Right.
I'm not trying to use one comp to set a price.
No.
And that can go
Mhm.
both ways, right? They can go both ways. And I'll use the Venom Red PMGs. You had 3 sales of 4,000 to 5,000 and 2 sales at 2,000. And the 2 sales of 2,000 were during the Super Bowl, like the weekend of the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Is that
Yep.
really the comp? Were the other 3 outliers? Or was
Right.
timing part of that? And is 3,000 really more of a fair number? Now that's for somebody else to determine. But here's the other thing to remember, and this comes from the card boss, and it's just so smart, is that every time with these low number cards, there's a sale, there's a chance that these are going in collections, and you're actually lowering the pop count of what may be available every time one of these big sales happen. And so
Correct.
to give an example, that green Spider-Man that sold, let's say there's 10 that are out there. Well, they just paid 255,000. You can take that one off the market, right? That's going in a special collection. And
Right.
so now there's only 9. Well, you say
Right.
there's 10. No, actually there's only 9. And next time somebody else pays 250 plus, that one's off the market. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yep.
And so that's something to remember with the lower pop counts. You know, I still want to caution people, you know, to be very thoughtful about where they're putting their money and where they're spending. I think it's important to have your own set of principles that drive what you're buying. Meaning, are you a collector? Are you an investor, or some combination of the two? Have you created those principles that make your buying decision for you, where you don't even have to think about it? If it fits that principled decision, it makes the decision for you. And no,
Yep.
Steve Aoki did not buy that green Spidey. He already has one. He bought the one last year
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
Golden
Yeah.
Auctions.
Which is, I think, why he probably bought the blue when he did, because he had the green, right?
Yes, he now has the matching BGS 9 pairs.
Yeah. Right. Which is very cool. So
Yeah, well, that's
one of
hey,
the
Brian, I'm trying to avoid FOMO with principles.
right, exactly. Um, and the funny thing is that you know, people talk about FOMO all the time, and while there is somewhat of an aspect to that for some people, the FOMO goes both ways. So it also keeps us sometimes from selling a card, because, like you
Mm,
said, somebody may offer you what you want for that card, but then you're like, okay, it's walking away. Am I going to be able to ever recover that card? And so then a lot of Marvel sellers, you know, the people in Marvel don't want to sell their cards because they're afraid they're not going to be able to get them back. And that's kind of so FOMO goes both ways.
you have to know thyself, right? And everybody's different. And just for me personally, um, my rule is I have to sell one thing a week, period. And and for me, that happens. I have something up every week that I'm selling, and I'll obviously get that done this week in Atlanta, Lord willing. But that helps me guard against, you know, having those fear of missing out on the selling side, but also over accumulating and not keeping enough money moving through my collection.
Well, one of the theories that I heard you talk about this before, and I agree with, and I kind of am doing this myself a little bit, is just to use a random number. Let's say you pick your top, you have your top 100 cards,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have all these other cards, and to use the other cards to help you improve that 100th card, get to your 90th card, or your, so just make your 100 cards get better and better and better, so your collection just continues to get better and better and better, not necessarily growing grow and grow until you're drowning in cards. It's just a really cool goal and way to think about collecting. And that's something that I've been doing because, like, okay, I've got a Black Panther card here that I really like, and that's somebody that I've been collecting. But if I could sell that Black Panther card to get a better Magneto card that I want, I would do that.
100%. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think obviously it helps to know what's out there that you want in your collection that you don't already have. I will tell you that I called a friend of mine who has a card that I really want. It's a special card. I said, look, is there anything in my collection that I have that you would want? He goes, no. Good luck in Atlanta. Hopefully you can take your cards and put it together and get something that I do want. But that's what he said.
Right.
And so now at least I
Right.
know. And so now I'm thinking, like, I got this piece, this piece. Could I possibly put that would for something that this person might would want for that card that I want? You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
and to me, whether you're doing that through sales and or through trades, that's that's an important thing to do. But part of that, again, to use the word principle just here is another word like boundaries, where you're saying, how do I guard against overdoing it?
Yeah. I mean, it's just if you hold yourself to certain rules that makes you not so much worry about the FOMO part. So Ryan's asking, but based on that green Spidey, what a green Wolvie go for, you think?
For 2013?
Yeah.
This is a longer answer. Okay. For me, Spider-Man's 1, right? Wolverine is kind of a 1B. There's a space there right now. That space exists, in my opinion, more because of what Fox did with X-Men. And there is the possibility in the future, if the MCU Disney handles Wolverine correctly, he will start to catch up with Spider-Man. He never will pass him, and the distance may be too far now to ever catch up in any way. But Wolverine is special. Right. The 2013 Wolverine card from Flair Retro is a wonderful image of Wolverine. It's about as good as it gets. The only negative to it, to me, is that it's overused art. It's been reused a few times, where the 2013 Flair Retro Spider-Man, I can't even think of another time it was reused. It's, they really protected that one for some reason. But yeah, it certainly should influence that card doing better. Is it anywhere near 255,000? No, it's not there. I think if I had to price one right now, I'd put it closer to 75,000, but I do see it climbing. I hate my blue. Yeah. Charles, I hate it too. Trade it to me this weekend.
He's got a blue Wolverine he's going to give me in Atlanta because he hates it. So it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going by. I've got a place for it. No worries.
It's definitely the second best card in 2013, Flair Retro PMGs, in my opinion. Imagine if there was a gold to go with that yellow outfit. That would be special.
Yeah, I have one. It's the blue Magneto, and I'm really happy to have that.
Yeah.
So interesting, the factor, this is what I think about this is, if that green Wolverine came in on the front end, graded as a PSA 9, and then went to auction, that's the question. What would it go for? This was a raw private sale that got graded after the fact, right? So
yep.
I think if a graded PSA 9 2013 green Wolvie shows up and goes to an auction house, that could potentially beat that Spider-Man sale. But it's not to say that if that Spider-Man that was graded as a PSA 9 showed up.
I don't think so, personally. Not right now, in my opinion. The red just sold raw for 7,800. The blue, what did it just finish at? Do you know?
The blue was a PSA 7. It was at 72,000.
No, of Wolverine?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the
No. The Wolverine, there's one.
20,100 20,100 last night.
And was it graded or was it raw?
No, it was raw. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So using that multiplier, you should be, you're probably looking at around, I think, 70 to 100,000. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If it's graded and it's green.
and if it's green to PSA 9, obviously it's going to do a lot better, but it doesn't get to 255
Well,
today,
that's
in
why
my
these
opinion.
things aren't ever apples to apples, because every card is a little bit different, either if it's raw or it's not, or it's graded, or what the grade is, or who the grading company is. And there's very rarely a straight apples to apples comparison. And
Right.
on the Red Spider-Man, there was a previous PSA 9 Red Spider-Man that's sold, and it sold for, I think, almost the exact same price.
72 and then 78, if I remember correctly. Both PSA
I think
9s,
that's
of
right.
which
Yeah.
there's 6 on the
Yeah.
pop report, and so they're out there. Or we got
Yeah.
some people in the chat that own one.
Charles, I don't know if you've got a Red Spider-Man that you hate, along with that blue Wolverine. You could maybe bring those to.
Right. He's looking to trade all of his PMGs for vibraniums. So keep an eye out for
it. I know somebody with a lot of vibranium that would be happy about that.
Yeah.
So,
that's true.
but so the big thing for me in this show is going to be, well, I'm going to try and expose. So I've got basically 2 showcases full of cards, and each showcase holds about 50 cards. Of all of those cards, I'll maybe have 9 PMGs, 10 in my case.
That's awesome.
Because what I'm really trying to do is expose people to, yes, PMGs are awesome and they're special, but there's more to it. I want that, the light on Marvel head dawns, like, oh wow,
Yeah.
look at that. I never knew that existed, and that's when people start, if you go down the rabbit hole a little bit and do some research, that's when you start finding the special stuff. And you and I had a discussion about, hey, the hunt for the new or this cool something that I didn't know or that I found. That's the fun part to me, man.
Yeah, and I get the question all the time. What's the next thing? Heck, if I know, I don't know.
Right.
What do you like? What are you attracted to? And there's a good chance that other people like the same thing. I'll give you an example. I commissioned the Spider-Man MJ sketch cards. Those have blown up. I think there's been at least 5 other commissions, and I get asked about them every other day. You don't know what people are going to like and what people have fun with. I didn't bet on vibranium. I didn't buy hardly any vibranium for a year because it just didn't attract to me. I'm glad other people love it, and I can see the appeal in it. But it's not for any of us to say what's going to be the next thing. Obviously,
right.
if people were me, they would probably want to chase 2016 Marvel Masterpiece, original art, all numbered, important, historical, top artists, historical artists. I mean, to me, that's an important set, but people like Simone Bianchi more, whatever. Like,
I keep asking everybody I know if they ever find a 2016 Masterpieces box, Mr. Blumenthal, or whoever. I need to get one because I've never gotten to open one of those, and Juice is my favorite. So, that would be epic. So, anything that you can announce as far as plans for the show that people don't know about, something you might want to do live or anything like that, or we want to just leave it as a surprise?
Well, I'm hoping that Charles will play basketball with us. I really do. There's a basketball court nearby. I'd love to see us all shoot some hoops, maybe have a little Marvel card team. That'd be fun. And although we're not the most athletic, but I'm trusting that everybody there is going to be like 35 to 45 years old. No young people to chase around.
You're not going to be doing the Spider-Man thing that Ash drew for you and doing the...
Yeah, about 2 inches off the ground. Yeah, that'll be. I'll do the jump man, Justin.
We'll both live up to the white man can't jump mantra, right?
For sure.
I'm
hoping that there's going to be some box breaks. That's something else that I would love to see us do live. I have not been able to acquire some of the boxes that I'd hope to acquire by the show, but maybe there'll be some on the floor we can purchase and go from there. I do have a couple of boxes I might bring with me, but we'll see. Free throw contest, bet a PMG, haven't bought in 10 years. That'd be a lot of fun. That'd be good content.
I will say, now, I haven't picked up a ball in many years, but I will say when I did play it, I did play a little bit of high school basketball. I did have an 87% free throw shooting.
Wow.
I can shoot some free throws.
John Stockton here. Goodness gracious.
I was from Indiana. It's like a deal. I was white and I could shoot.
Cool.
But so dude, this has been really epic. And I just wanted to, kind of do this before Atlanta, let people know. I don't know if I want to let the cat out of the bag of what I'm planning for the show, because I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to be allowed to do it. So I want to get that okay before I make any announcements.
Yeah,
but I want to
sure.
be able to have something where people can experience a show that don't get a chance to go without just having to, watch a video. So I want it to be more interactive. So we'll see if that can work. I got a really cool plan. I've done it before at trade shows and it wasn't an issue, but that was a trade show. This is more of a card show.
Mm-hmm.
But this is more of being a culture collision. It kind of is a trade show,
I think so. I'm gonna have Marvel Legends there. I plan to bring comic books and cards. Like, I plan to have a little bit of an assortment for stuff. I guarantee you I'm gonna have a good time. That's my commitment, is to have fun. That's always my commitment.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
I'm gonna spread the Marvel card gospel as best I know how to spread it. And Lord willing, we'll put some cards in people's hands along the way. Oh, you got stickers.
I've got a
I don't have
sticker.
stickers.
I got a sticker for you.
I love that. I need it for my box. I want to decorate one of my.
It's how I mark my
cases.
Suitcases. They have stickers on.
I want to decorate some of my cases. I'm going to put together some packages of cards to give away to kids with Marvel stuff in. I'm just going to take team bags. I'm going to shove cards in them, and then I'm going to have a number of those to give away.
I think I was talking to Josh about that, because one of the sports guys that I follow, Mojo Sports, he does that a lot. And that's a really cool thing too, and especially in the Marvel hobby, that's going to be even better than maybe a kid.
That's my thought with it being Marvel. Like, I'm going to take Y Sports and some 90MU and different things like that, and just low end stuff. Nothing that's terribly expensive, but got good artwork on it.
Yeah. I do have an extra Y Schwartz box that I might bring as well. Maybe I'll do that. So yeah, I got to figure that out. So as I'm out of, it's been hard for me not to buy wax. So I've got this one Black Diamond box that I'm going to figure out what to do with when we get up there, and then I've got that Y Schwartz box. So we'll see what we do. I didn't know if you were going to bring anything special. Like, knowing you'd show up at the 2013 case that was ongoing.
Well, you never know. I'm going to have some special cards there. We'll save those for when we get there. And then I've got a couple other fun things that are going to be not quite card related, but related. So, but I want everybody to see it when we get there.
Cool. Well, man, I really appreciate you doing this with me. I've been wanting to do it since the first day I started my channel, and I just wanted to find the right appropriate time to do it. This is going to be amazing, because not only I'm happy to call you my friend now. We're going to be doing something together at the show. It's going to be huge, and it's just an epic time to do this, and it's going to be a lot of fun. My son's coming, you got friends coming, and family.
Yep.
It's going to be pretty epic. I mean, I'm going for a full 5 days. I'm coming in Thursday.
Wow.
And leaving on Monday.
Taking in the full experience. Well, I'm looking forward to breaking bread together.
I just hate to be in a rush. I hate to be in a rush. So I'm coming in Thursday, take my time. Going out Monday, take my time. Yeah. So, but buddy, awesome. I really appreciate it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And why don't you take us out?
Hey everybody, thank you for joining. If you haven't subscribed to Marvel Guy 239, you need to. He does a lot of fun stuff when it comes to box breaks, interviews, when it comes to mail calls. Ton of fun. And thank you for watching. And as always, I hope you have a marvelous day.